Some questions don't have good answers.
In 1944, during World War II, a group of paratroopers was given a mission to destroy a German radio jammer tower located in an old church. As the plane approached the target area, Boyce, a timid soldier, tried to calm himself before the jump. Other members of the squad included Tibbett, Rosenfeld, Granauer, chaser photographer, and Ford, an explosives expert, assigned to the mission after a highly successful previous operation. The flight became turbulent, causing Boyce's lucky charm to fall. Tibbett caught it and mocked Boyce for believing in superstitions. Boyce's underwhelming performance often made him the target of bullying by his comrades. Moments later, Sergeant Rensin, the squad leader, entered the main area of the plane to deliver a final reminder before landing. He began asking questions, and when it was Boyce's turn, he failed to respond, further hurting his confidence. Still, the mission had to continue. Sergeant Rensin gave a final motivational speech before returning to the cockpit. Hundreds of planes and ships were en route to France, and at that point, all the soldiers could do was wait and hope. The plane began shaking, an indication that an airstrike had begun nearby. Explosions grew more frequent, but their plane managed to stay airborne. Several friendly aircraft were shot down around them, sending the troops into panic. The sergeant tried to calm them. Gunfire from the ground pierced the plane, killing several men. The signal lights inside the aircraft turned red, indicating they should prepare to jump, but the plane caught fire, and several soldiers fell fatally. Some of the survivors managed to parachute out once the light turned green. Boyce struggled to maintain control amid chaos unlike anything he'd ever seen. The sergeant pushed him out into the open air, filled with bullets. From above, Boyce saw the battlefield and realized this was what they had trained for. He landed near a body of water and almost drowned after getting tangled in his parachute lines, but he saved himself and grabbed his weapon before fleeing into the forest. While looking for fellow soldiers, Boyce witnessed the sergeant surrounded and mocked by German troops. Just as he was about to intervene, Ford stopped him. They watched the execution of their leader, and Ford emphasized that the mission must continue. They pushed deeper into the woods and heard movement. It turned out to be other survivors, and they reunited joyfully. While crossing a field, one of them stepped on a landmine, causing an explosion and injuries. Boyce regained consciousness and carefully searched for safety. Survival was their top priority now, but the mission remained unfinished. As they rested, they found a mutilated animal corpse that was hard to identify. Its bone structure wasn't like a dog. Chase compared it to a hellhound, a creature from biblical tales. Tibbett dismissed it as nonsense. Suddenly, a strange sound caught Boyce's attention. He signaled that someone or something was approaching. They encountered a girl named Chloe, who was terrified upon seeing American soldiers. They chased and held her at gunpoint, forcing her to show them the way to the old church. Boyce calmed her and promised not to hurt her, but Chloe had no choice but to help. They reached the village where the church was located. At the village entrance, Ford ordered Boyce to guard Chloe while the others scouted ahead. Chloe's neighbor, Miss Lesnar, was awakened by the noise and reported Chloe to the Germans for breaking curfew. German soldiers came, forcing Boyce to hide while Chloe talked her way out, and successfully fooled them. She let the soldiers hide in her house. Chloe gave them a quick tour of the house in case they needed to hide quickly. Tibbett heard noises from upstairs and questioned Chloe, who claimed it was her sick aunt. She then changed the top. She also had a younger brother named Paul, whom she cared for after their parents were killed by German troops. The soldiers rested in a small attic and began planning. A woman's scream interrupted their discussion. Another villager had just been executed by the Germans. Chloe explained that such incidents were common since the village was occupied. She warned that her house was often inspected, but Ford reassured her that they only needed 4 hours. They debated delaying the mission, but Boyce suddenly suggested moving immediately. He reminded them that their planes couldn't provide air support until the tower was destroyed. Tibbett mocked and belittled him, saying Boyce wasn't fit to be a soldier. His rant stopped when Paul approached and invited him to play baseball. Chloe explained that Paul believed all Americans were good at baseball. Tibbett left in frustration. Ford then called Boyce downstairs. On the way, he heard coughing from Chloe's aunt's room. Peeking inside, he saw a deformed woman with badly damaged skin in terrible condition. Chloe explained that her aunt had never spoken again since returning from the church, the Germans' base. She suspected some sort of experiment had caused the physical and mental trauma. That night, Tibbet and Chase went out to monitor the German base, while the Germans started searching the village. Ford and Boyce stayed hidden in the attic with Paul. A German officer named Waffner came to Chloe's house and tried to force her into sleeping with him. When Chloe refused, he ordered his men to search the attic. Luckily, Paul blocked their way and distracted them by throwing a baseball, which stopped them from going upstairs. Waffner threatened to send Chloe to the church for repairs if she continued to resist. Reluctantly, Chloe let him start assaulting her, showing clear disgust. Boyce couldn't bear to watch, and came down to stop Waffner, holding him at gunpoint. Ford joined in, and helped subdue the officer. Afterward, Ford ordered Boyce to sneak into the church tower that very night. In the forest, Boyce waited for the right moment, and saw a truck full of nearly dead, deformed people. Experiments were being conducted on French civilians and dead German soldiers by Dr. Schmidt. Boyce watched as failed test subjects were incinerated with flamethrower. Confused about the purpose of the experiments, Boyce moved deeper into the woods. A German truck passed by, and Boyce hid. A dog appeared and chased him, forcing him to jump into the truck. To his horror, he found piles of corpses inside and disguised himself by covering his body with the truck arrived at the church, and soldiers began unloading it, giving Boyce a chance to sneak inside. He discovered an underground prison area beneath the church. He heard groaning from small cells and hid when two guards passed by. Peering inside, he saw a creature that was part human, part monstrous. Meanwhile, Tibbet and Chase made it back to Chloe's house. Boyce continued exploring the lab, looking for answers. He found a moving body bag and opened it to find someone barely alive, coated in a strange serum. He spotted several syringes on a table, and took one as a sample to bring back to Ford. He suspected that the red serum was responsible for the disfigured bodies he had seen earlier. Not far from where he stood, he heard someone crying for help. Curious, Boyce pulled back a curtain, and saw a bodiless head begging for aid. His face was filled with fear. It was hard to believe what he was witnessing. He moved on, and found Rosenfeld tied to a bed. As he tried to free him, several German doctors. Boyce watched as they injected the serum into a dead soldier, but the experiment failed, and the body was discarded. Boyce pulled a large syringe from Rosenfeld's body to save him, and managed to free him. Together they used a burial tunnel to escape the church, and successfully flew back at the house. Boyce finally broke down in tears after holding back his emotions inside the church. Ford had a hard time understanding him, and realized that Boyce's focus had shifted from their main mission to the horrific experiments being carried out by the Germans. Boyce showed Ford the serum, and they interrogated Waffner, but he gave them no useful information, even under torture. Despite being helpless, Waffner remained loyal to his ideology, which only made Ford more aggressive. Boyce tried to stop him, but got hurt, and left as the team prepared to attack the church. Chase checked on Waffner. Waffner pretended to be unconscious and suddenly tried to escape, shooting Chase fatally. With his head still covered by a sack, Waffner fired wildly before the others managed to stop him. As he lay dying, Chase asked for his camera, and they all solemnly witnessed his passing. Boyce had the idea to inject Chase's body with the serum, hoping to bring him back. Within minutes, Chase awoke, seemingly in perfect condition. He even stabbed his own wound and felt no pain. He had become much stronger, leaving everyone confused. However, Chase soon began to mutate. His body transformed, and he turned violent. His eyes glowed red as he seemed to become something monstrous, until Ford shot him repeatedly. Waffner then revealed that the serum could bring dead soldiers back to life as mutated zombie-like creatures. While they were discussing this, Chase reanimated once more. Before he could attack, Boyce tackled him and smashed his head. The chaos gave Waffner a chance to escape unnoticed. He came down from the attic and kidnapped Paul as he tried to leave. A group of German soldiers arrived to assist, and took Paul as a hostage. Chloe desperately chased the military vehicle, but failed to catch up, then ran to Boyce to beg for help. Boyce refused to follow Ford's orders, determined to help Chloe save her brother. He said their mission was not just to destroy the radio tower, but also to stop the horrific human experiments. Reluctantly, Ford agreed to the plan after realizing that Boyce could lead them back inside the church. At the church, Waffner arrived with the boy and headed straight to the lab. He injected himself with the serum to heal his wounds, despite the doctor's objections. Dr. Schmidt warned that the serum had never been tested on living humans, and its effects were unknown. Waffner took 2 doses and screamed in agony as his bones cracked. He claimed his strength had returned, even though part of his face was destroyed in the earlier firefight. His expression turned cold and menacing, showing no sign of pain. Meanwhile, the group prepared their infiltration through the forest. Each team member was assigned a task, and would split up during the operation. As a diversion, Chloe revealed herself to the German soldiers, who chased her through the town. They opened fire, but Chloe escaped into the forest, pursued by one of the soldiers to a bridge. Thinking she was cornered, the soldier dismounted and tried to attack her, but after knocking him down, Chloe smirked, and Ford appeared, finishing off the soldier. They then rigged the body with explosives, and used it to blow their way into the church. The explosion wounded several other soldiers, while Rosenfeld and Tibbet launched a frontal assault to draw attention. Ford, Boyce and Chloe entered the base through the drainage system. The infiltration caused major panic inside, as the soldiers realized they were under attack by a small group of Americans. Inside, Boyce and Ford proceeded with the mission to plant explosives, while Chloe refused to wait, and went to find Paul. In one hallway, she held 2 soldiers at gunpoint, and shot one when he refused to reveal Paul's location. Under pressure, their actions became increasingly ruthless. In the communications room, Ford stabbed a soldier from behind to set the bomb timer. Underground, a soldier tried to mislead Chloe into a cell where a disfigured body lay. Fortunately, Boyce arrived just in time to save her from being shot. As they tried to escape, they saw a zombie dragging a German soldier into a cell to devour him. Stunned, they could hardly believe what they were seeing, but time was short. They pressed on, and finally heard Paul calling for Chloe. She found her brother and they tried to flee. Suddenly, a zombie grabbed Chloe and pulled her back into the room. Paul escaped to the village while Chloe fought back, shooting the creature, but the wounds weren't enough to stop it. The zombie chased her through the corridor, but she found a flamethrower and incinerated it. Waffner, now mutated and superhuman, found Ford rigging the tower with explosives. He attacked, and began to execute his horrific plan. Meanwhile, Boyce planted explosives in the central lab, only to be held at gunpoint by Dr. Schmidt, who demanded his surrender. Boyce resisted with all his might, and they fought. Dr. Schmidt tried to stab him, but failed and was killed. Chloe returned to the village, where Tibbet and Rosenfeld were pinned down by German gunfire. The firefight was intense, until Paul appeared in the middle of the battlefield. Worried for Paul's safety, Tibbet was shot while protecting him. He carried Paul to safety, while Chloe ambushed and killed the remaining Germans, then treated Tibbet's wounds. Elsewhere in the base, Waffner overpowered Ford, throwing him across the room. Before impaling him on a meat hook, he revealed that the serum was made from the bodies of villagers, to extract an ancient power from the black tar flowing beneath the village for centuries. The goal was to create an immortal, invincible army to serve the German cause. Boyce, having finished planting the bombs, tried to ambush Waffner but was thrown aside. The zombie-like Waffner then opened a chamber filled with corpses already injected with the serum. Just then, Ford pulled himself off the hook, and injected the serum into his own body, instantly healing his wounds. Knowing the risk, Ford sacrificed himself to stop Waffner, stabbing him from behind. The two fought brutally, their bodies mutating and rot. Though he couldn't defeat him outright, Ford knocked over an oxygen tank at Waffner's feet, which Boyce shot, causing an explosion. Waffner fell into the tar pit below. Boyce tried to help Ford up, but Ford locked himself inside the lab as Boyce escaped through the door. He ordered Boyce to leave him behind and destroy the tower, believing the serum should not fall into anyone's hands. After a painful farewell, Boyce obeyed. Ford then detonated the lab, killing himself, the zombies and Waffner, who was climbing out of the Boyce activated the explosives, and ran to the communications room as the church and tower collapsed behind him, burying the lab and everything inside. Villagers gathered outside as the radio announced the Allies' victory in the war. Boyce reunited with Tibbet, Rosenfeld, Chloe and Paul in the village, and solemnly informed them that Ford didn't make it. With the crisis over, Boyce reported to his superior about the mission's success, crediting Ford for the outcome. When asked about the rumored underground lab, Boyce, echoing Ford's belief, denied seeing anything worth investigating. He now believed that the zombies and experiments should remain secret, or more people would suffer the same fate as the failed test subject.